Today I'm going to be making a chicken and a chickpea and a chorizo sort of tomato based dish that's suitable for serving with rice or with new potatoes or with garlic bread. The ingredients are very simple and quite a lot of them are the sorts of things that you might have in your store cupboard. I'm going to start by preparing the chorizo. Now this comes like this if you haven't seen one whole, and this is actually enough for probably about 4 recipes. So I'm going to have a clean board and a clean knife, and I'm just going to cut it so that I can have a quarter of it, and then I'm going to put the rest of it back in its package so that it can be reused on another day. Okay, so here is the chorizo, and how I'm going to prepare it is I'm going to cut it into semicircles about the thickness of a coin. Quite hard to cut through. Obviously the chorizo is optional. You don't have to have it if you don't wish. In which case you might want to add a little bit more garlic into yours. Okay, so I'm just going to cut each one of these into 2. Okay, so I'm just going to put those out of the way now onto a plate until I need them in a few minutes' time. And then I'll put them into my frying pan. Okay, next ingredient then is some chicken. Now obviously you need to choose the right amount according to the size of your family and how many people you're going to be eating your recipe. Now I've got chicken strips, which sometimes means in fact you actually have to do a little bit of trimming on them to make sure you've not got any membrane on them or any fat on the pieces, and you just want to cut it into small pieces. And again I'm going to put those then onto my plate. Here's the chicken and the chorizo that I've prepared, and I've also got a frying pan with a small amount of oil in where I'm going to add now the chorizo. Now you're going to have to fry that on a medium heat, and what you should find is that the natural oils that are in the chorizo will start to come out as it begins to cook and brown. So we need to cook that on a medium sort of heat to allow the natural oils to come out. And then when they've been cooking for a few minutes, I'm going to remove them from the pan and put them onto a clean plate while I put the chicken in. Okay, I've been cooking now for probably about 3 minutes and should be able to see that the oil has increased in volume and has also gone a slightly orangey colour, as well as the fact that the meat has browned. So I'm going to remove that now and put that onto a plate. So you can see the orange coloured oil that comes from the chorizo. That's because of the paprika that's actually in the sausage itself. It colours the oil. So I'm going to put the chicken in there. Okay, so that's just gone straight to the pan where the chorizo was. I'm just going to stir that round. And I just need to keep cooking that now until the chicken browns. The chicken's changed colour then, so it's got a white colour now, which is what we're aiming for. I'm going to leave it just another couple of minutes and see if it will brown a tiny bit more. I'm now going to prepare the onion and the garlic to go with the chicken and the chorizo. So I'm going to start by peeling the garlic. Like so. And then you have a choice, you can either chop it or you can slice it finely. The onion next then, so I'm going to cut off both ends. Peel off its outside, put down the centre, cut out its outside skin. You know, some people like to leave the root on theirs. Doesn't really worry me too much. If the outside bit's got some brown on, you might want to take that layer off anyway. Okay, and then holding it like so, you're going to cut it through a few times and then cut it across the other way so it's in fine pieces. Half of it done. Same again, holding it like that with your bridge, and then your claw movements, cutting it across the other side. And then the garlic, again I'm going to do a similar sort of thing. I'm going to cut it a few times and then just very carefully just cut it across a few times. Okay, so both of those now are ready to be added into the chicken. And they're going to go into the chicken, and I'm also going to add a whole tin of chopped tomatoes and a tin of chickpeas that I have already drained. Okay, I've put the onions and garlic into the chicken. I'm just going to cook those around for a minute before I add in the chickpeas and the tomatoes, and also a bit of seasoning. So that's getting ready again. I'm going to keep the chorizo until a bit later. So in go the chickpeas and the tomatoes. And I'm going to also add into it some paprika. I'm not going to add any other salt or pepper at this stage. Later on, when I've had the chorizo back into the mixture, I'll have a taste, because that is already quite spicy. So it could be that I don't need very much more adding into it. So once it's come back up to the boil, I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to cook it then for about 10 minutes. And then we'll have a look and see how it's doing. Okay, so I'm going to put the lid on. Now it's come to the boil, and reduce the heat right down to a simmer, which is the lowest heat, and leave it now for about 10 minutes. Okay, after about 10 minutes then, I took the lid off and gave it a stir, and then I gave it another 10 or 15 minutes, so that you can see now it's thickened a little bit and the chicken's properly cooked. So I'm now going to put the chorizo back in again, stir that through, put the lid back on, and probably give it another 5 minutes, and then it will be ready to serve. Or alternatively, you can just leave it on the side for a few minutes whilst you prepare anything else that you're going to serve with it. So the chicken and chorizo is now cooked. I've tasted it and adjusted the seasoning, and it's now ready to serve with the rice or the potatoes that you've prepared to go alongside it.